CBS Sports ran another fantastic NBA article. I've gotten a lot of content from CBS Sports recently, so I'd like to shed some light on this so it's not like, oh, you guys are just stealing. I've got to credit the sources. For one, Matt Moore is someone we've talked about as a writer again for CBS Sports NBA writing and is, I think, taking maybe the torch in a way from the likes of, and no disrespect to Zach Lowe, who I think is another great NBA writer over on the ESPN side. So he talked about Isaiah Thomas, the Celtics defense, and what fourth quarter Isaiah Thomas is either helping or hurting the Celtics, and also kind of dove into some of the numbers. Let's just get to the quote first that I took from this. It's a long article. I encourage everyone to read it. Now, as it was with Kawhi Leonard, it's here that we have to start with how you need to understand that the fourth quarter stat means in terms of the Celtics defensive rating. Doesn't mean that the Celtics defense is bad because of Thomas, necessarily. It means that with Thomas on the floor, the defense is bad. There can be and are a lot of reasons for this, and when you add them all up, you have to at least wonder if the offense, as incredible as it is not worth the trade-off. And what he's referring to is this stat that he brought up, which is their net rating on defense with Thomas on the court in the fourth quarter. Now, he just went off for 24 points in the fourth quarter. He's the highest fourth quarter scoring player, over 10 points per game in the last 20 years, higher than that of Kobe, LeBron, and some of the greats in the league right now. But defensively, when you're 5'9", there simply is not much you can do. Is this something that the trade-off's okay? James Harden doesn't play great defense. Steph Curry, we know, is not a great one-on-one defender. Isaiah Thomas deserves a little bit of scrutiny, but what do we make of the 5'9" superstar?
Well, as soon as when you send over the rundown and I see it's a Matt Moore article, I'm immediately intrigued. I believe, as we mentioned, this was the Kawhi Leonard story that we broke down, where the title was Kawhi Leonard is hurting the Spurs team because he's so good at defense.
He's so good. The Spurs are bad.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to wrap your mind around it, right? But the one thing that I do always make the case for is his offensive capabilities overshadow any sort of case you can make for your team being defensive. And what I mean by that is you're not utilizing an Isaiah Thomas with the hope that he's going to be a well-rounded player. You need Isaiah Thomas for you to score, for his assists, for his ability to change the game on the offensive side of the court. So in any great team sport, you need to pick up the slack for someone like that. And that sounds a little bit selfish, but that's because he's so talented offensively, as we mentioned before, putting up career-high numbers. And the players around them need to step up their game, but that's what teammates do. People often say, all right, so if he's so good, that means that maybe Avery Bradley is going to have to step up a little bit more defensively, or Al Horford. Yes, because that's what good teams do. They bang together in order to allow someone to thrive at the best at. Football example. Lionel Messi, we know, is a phenomenal footballer going forward. So what do other players do when he's on the field on the defensive side? They cover for the space that he can't actually get to because he's committing so much of his energy going forward. Yeah. So these aren't surprising things. They're interesting, and statistically, they're backed up because when some guy is going forward so much and he is at a disadvantage, yeah, the opposition is going to see that as an opportunity to score, but he's also going to be adding to the overall mechanics of the Boston Celtics going forward, you know?
Yeah, these are all fantastic points, and it sounds harsh because a lot of people are going to say, well, what about James Harden, right? James Harden has gotten better defensively, but I used to criticize a lot of James Harden's play, not because I didn't like James Harden. It's that I found his style for a couple of years and the offense they were running in Houston with Dwight Howard and Trevor Ariza around that team, I found it to be frustrating to watch because it seemed a little bit hacky in terms of, arms out, foul line, and then no effort on defense. The difference here is Isaiah Thomas is not built like other players, and to be very clear here, I don't remember Allen Iverson getting this kind of treatment. Allen Iverson was criticized for many of things. Him not being and he led the league in steals at one point, and he was able to swipe balls, just like Steph Curry has led the league in steals last year, but no one's calling him a good one-on-one defender. In transition, I see problems with the teammates. My point being, in transition, if Isaiah Thomas is the guy back on defense and he's going one-on-one with any small forward in the league, you're going to win that battle. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", it's going to be really hard for Isaiah Thomas to do anything. But that also means that guys like Al Horford, I think, need to kind of turn up another gear, find that fifth or sixth gear, and get back to, as you mentioned, cover for those spaces, because you have someone who's right now so lethal on the offensive end of the court and potentially leading the league in scoring by the end of this year. And he's got that clutch gene, Damian Lillard's clutch gene from last year, the fourth quarter ability to score and turn it on. So ride that. The numbers in themselves are telling, but it does not mean the Celtics really have to do anything to find a solution for that. Like I said, the 30-18, their biggest issue, as Matt Moore did point out, 8-12 against teams 500 or better. So it's not, as he points out again, I'm kind of paraphrasing a lot from him. I just don't want to take any of his words and pretend to call them my own. He mentions also, it's not that you can beat the Kings or the Pistons. Doesn't matter. If you're gonna beat the Pistons in a 7-game series. Can you beat the Raptors or the Cavaliers?
Yeah.
Or the teams that might throw some more curveballs at you.
And there's also a couple of things that he put like lower down in the article, which again is going to play a crucial role. He said they are dead last in their
defensive
rebounding.
Right? Yeah.
Right? So if you want to pick apart little small statistics that all play the bigger picture and why they're not as good defensively, you got to get rebounds. So you're expecting a 5'9" guy to try and get up there and get rebounds? Like, this is what we expect.
I'm expecting 5'9" Isaiah Thomas to jump like Russell Westbrook and grab 10 rebounds a game.
So there is other things that go around this, and of course it makes for an intriguing story. Like everyone, we have sang Isaiah Thomas's praises here
Since November.
Since even before that, last season we were talking about him and how good and how he was an instrumental factor in why the Celtics could build around him and be good going forward. So yeah, it's going to capture a headline if you're like, Celtics aren't as good on the court. But away from the logistics of the stats and making it a little bit complicated, is it not just an easy thing to just make the case that, of course, when you have a guy who is efficient with the ball in his hands, that other teammates aren't going to get the ball as much when he's on the court? Like, so when you write a headline saying other players suffer a little bit more and their points are on average lower when he's on the court, no shit. Like I don't understand how that's.
You have to feed your score. I mean, you have to feed your score, right? And there's only one person that you want taking the last shot on the Celtics this year, and it's Isaiah Thomas. But what's going to be interesting is when those fourth quarters come around in the second season, the playoffs, who's going to be the guy? Avery Bradley on the wing for a three? Is it Al Horford down low? Because Isaiah Thomas could easily fall into a double team trap because of his size. But if that happens, we're talking about a guy who does have enough court vision that if he finds it, you have to trade up the option for, do you want to give Avery Bradley an open three? Do you want Al Horford to be open down low? Or do you want Isaiah Thomas to take the shot? It's not a good situation for any defense if it comes down to a close game.
I feel like you could run an article like this, which is a good and interesting read, but for instance, look at the Cavs. Like, you could break down what Tristan Thompson's points per minute averages compared to LeBron James being offered on the court. When you have the best player on your team with the ball in his hands, other players are going to have to suffer and going to have to accept that they are not going to have to, they're not going to be given that shot. Like Dwayne Wade, quite literally, I believe I've seen a stat that that he had to take half the shots that he was used to taking in the Heat when LeBron James came in.
Yes.
Run that article. Like, imagine how many times you could run that, but you know what trumps that? Is when they have a championship at the end of it. And you're like, okay, well, his game suffered. Who really cares? If you're giving it to the man who you are trusting to take that final shot, and whether your defensive rating suffers, if you lift the trophy at the end or you're pushing higher up, which the Celtics clearly are. Where did they finish last year in the Eastern Conference? They were like the 6th or 7th seed.
They lost their opening series.
Yeah. So it's already looking better.
They finished in the middle of the pack, and Brad Stevens, man, he's creative and he's fun. I wonder if he's gonna be able to take the next step. He gets about one more year before we start saying, okay, we know LeBron's there. If you haven't made an Eastern Conference Finals yet, we have to start thinking like, you're a creative coach. Everyone's got the utmost respect for you. You own that locker room. That's awesome. Now we need to see some real second season results. Not so much building towards second season results, because you have pieces. You have pieces there to make a run for the Eastern Conference Finals. And I'm just going to safely imagine that in about a month or two, LeBron's playmaker will be there, and the Cavs will, of course, be rattling off 15 straight wins.
He's already there. Kyle fucking Korver.
Kyle Korver.
He does everything.
Comment below, like, favorite, and subscribe. Thanks to Matt Moore for another quality article from CBS Sports. We'll see you next time.